you all so much for joining tonight, and I'm super excited that we're all going up to Morocco.
Yes.
This
Ah.
tour sold out just like that. So this
Oh,
is
that's
just
so
amazing.
great.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So everyone wants to go to Morocco, I guess. This is great.
Absolutely.
It's a hot destination. We have about 8 people on the wait list now. So we
Wow.
may even do another one. We'll see if we can.
So how many
Uh,
how many are going on our trip?
we have 15
Wow,
on this trip.
perfect.
Yeah, which is a
Perfect.
good size. Yeah, it means that we're in a larger vehicle as well, so we have a bit more room to spread out and get our shopping bags, one seat for you, one seat for your
Perfect.
shopping.
Perfect.
Yeah, and if we were in a smaller group, we would have a little bit of a smaller vehicle, so not as much space, but still comfortable. So if anyone has to drop out at the last minute, we'll manage. So for tonight, I'm just going to talk about the day-to-day of the itinerary, and I'm
Mhm.
going to go through some flight options as well because the
Mhm.
flights are now available to book. So I'll do that at the end, and then we can have any questions and concerns, comments. Feel free to ask any questions along the way as well. So I'm just going to share my screen, and then I'll bring you into this presentation I've got going on here. Okay, can everyone see this?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So first off, this is going to be the map of where we're going to. We fly into Casablanca and out of Marrakesh, and it's almost a circle trip. All the black dots on this map are overnights, and then the reds are the roads connecting us all to it. As you can see, we cover quite a lot of ground in the country, and because of that, we do have some long driving days. In between Fez and Erfoud is one of the longer ones. That's about 7 hours. But for all of the drives that we're making, we will stop along the way. Plenty of stops. There's lots of places to stop and take photos. We'll be doing lunch stops and pee stops and everything. So it won't ever feel like you're going on the road just for 7 hours straight. And it's also a really nice way to see the country. You can just sit back and relax and watch the world go by. So yeah, so we start in Casablanca, and depending on your flight, you'll probably arrive in the early afternoon. That day is going to be free until the evening when we'll meet with our local representative and have an orientation and then our welcome dinner. So we have one local guide that's with us the entire time and a driver. And then in some other places, we'll have another guide that's really specializes in that particular area that will join us as well. But we'll have one with us and myself for the entire trip. So first you'll arrive, we'll check into the hotel. Now, all the hotels I've mentioned in the itinerary and on this presentation, they're not guaranteed, but this will give you an idea of what we can get. And hopefully we'll have these ones because they're quite nice. So we'll start off in Casablanca. The hotel is really modern and comfortable. They have an indoor pool. And most of the places that we're staying at actually have a pool, which will be really nice after those drives and in the Sahara when we get all the dust in our faces on the camel rides. So that first day really is just going to be free, and then orientation. The next day, day two, is really when we start the tour. We only have a small amount of time in Casablanca because it's not really the nicest town. So we have a short tour here where we'll visit the Mosque of Hassan. Now, this is the second largest mosque apart from Mecca. It is one of the only religious monuments where you can actually enter as a non-Muslim. And so we will get to do that on that morning. And it's a really spectacular building, as you can see from the outside, but also the inside. It's really beautiful. So some nice photos that we can take here. So we'll have a walk through the mosque, and then we move on right away. We're going to Rabat. Rabat is the capital of Morocco, and we'll have a tour here in the Medina throughout the walled city with our guide, of course. We'll stop for a cup of tea. The Moroccans really like their mint tea, and they also have Moroccan coffee, but for some reason the tea is what they are really known for. And we'll stop here overlooking the ocean where a river comes through it as well. Halfway through our guided tour. We leave Rabat and head towards Meknes, which is our next stop. Now we're staying at a riad in Meknes, and riads are, if you don't know, are like a villa that has a courtyard in the middle, and sometimes the courtyard has a water feature, a pool, or like a little garden. And then the rooms are all surrounding that courtyard. And sometimes they're between 2 and 4 floors high. So they're quite small, really intimate hotels. They're really, traditional Moroccan style. As you can see here, this is one of the rooms. So really like warm and inviting. Every room is different. All the accommodations that we're staying at aren't, the cookie cutter Hiltons. So some of you might have different room configurations than others. But for everyone that is sharing, you will always have 2 beds. So you don't have to worry about that. And then there are a few people that have single room accommodations as well. So yeah, nice riad, I think, to start off the trip with. The next day, we'll have a guided tour in Ness of the walled city. And a part of the stop in the guided tours, we're going to a market, and we're going to buy some items for a picnic lunch that day. So we'll get some fruits and veggies and nuts and some bread and things like that. Take it with us, and we're going to stop at this monument first, which is called Valbulis. Now, this was a Berber Roman ruin. It was originated from the 1st centuries when it was built, and then it became abandoned in the 11th century. So lots of history. So we'll have a short visit here with our guide, have our picnic lunch, and then we move on to Chefouchon. I hope I'm saying that right, Chefouchon. This is the Blue City, if anyone's heard of this. You'll see it in a couple pictures why it's the Blue City. But we'll check into the hotel here, which is nestled right in the mountains. Another place that has a pool, and it actually overlooks a lot of the town. And really cozy rooms. And this is Chefouchon. So most of the buildings are blue washed. I've been to quite a few whitewashed building towns, like in Greece and Italy, but I've never seen something that's blue washed before. Really cool.
Beautiful.
So there's a couple reasons why they're blue washed. No one really knows the real reason, but I learned about this earlier. So one of them is Jewish people leaving Europe during the Second World War. And they came to Chefouchon in particular and painted their streets and their buildings blue to mimic the blue sky and to be closer to God. Another reason, so that was in the 1930s. Another reason was in the 1970s, Morocco made a huge push for tourism. So they painted this city blue to attract tourists. And that really worked because this is like an Instagram haven in Chefouchon. These pictures don't have any people in them, but there's going to be loads of people when we're there. One of the things that they're also known for are their goats and their goat cheese. So we'll have a chance to do a goat cheese tasting. And then the rest of your day is free to explore as you'd like. So maybe you want to wander the streets and take some photos of some cool doors, or you can maybe just hang out at the hotel, whatever you feel like doing. Myself and our guide will always have some suggestions for you. Then the next day we move on from Chefouchon to Fez. We arrive in Fez and we have most of the day at leisure. Now, Fez is the cultural center of Morocco, but they're also really known for their hammams, which are the Moroccan spas. So it could be a nice idea to go have a little spa if you want to. This is the hotel that we're staying at, the Palais Houam, another really traditional Moroccan style. And this evening in Fez, we'll have a really interesting experience. We'll get to go to a family-run home. It used to be their home that they turned into a restaurant. And we'll get to learn how to make pastilla, which is a common Moroccan dish. And it's kind of like a chicken pot pie almost. It's like a pie with pastry on the outside, and then the top is covered with sugar and almonds. It just sounds quite interesting. They will have vegetarian options as well, because I think quite a few of us are vegetarian on the tour. If you are gluten-free, Morocco is a little bit more challenging for gluten-intolerant people. Hopefully you can eat around it, but they don't have gluten-free bread readily available. So if you are gluten intolerant, I would really strongly suggest bringing your own bread or substitute from home with you on the trip. A lot of their breakfasts entail like bread and yogurt and fruit, just so you know. And we can talk about that more if you are gluten intolerant or have any other dietary restrictions. So that was our night before. Now in Fez, we have a morning guided tour walking around the city. Of course, we'll stop for some Moroccan mint tea. And a part of Fez is, I'm not sure if anyone knows this, but they have a big tannery area in Fez. This is a really big part of their culture and their history, which we will see. We're not going to stay there for very long though, because I've heard it smells really bad. They tan their hides with cow urine and pigeon feces. So you can imagine. But we'll go up here, and this is actually like a ledge overlooking the tannery, so we can go up there and take a nice photo and see some people working. I won't make you actually tan any leather. From Fez, we move on to Erfoud. Now, Erfoud is a French colonial town that was built in the 1900s. And as you can see, it kind of blends into the surrounding background of the mountains here. It is the last kind of stop before you get into the Sahara. This is the hotel that we're staying at. And as you can kind of see from the background images, there's nothing there because it's the desert. So this hotel is kind of like an oasis. It looks really beautiful. I'm excited to stay here. The rooms are simple, but the outside and the pool look lovely. So after that day, the next morning, we go to a small town, and we will, after breakfast, go to the small town, get to know this, it's like an old Kasbah area, and they will teach us how to make this dish. Now I forget what it's called, but it is kind of like a Moroccan style stuffed pizza, but with no cheese. So another kind of like pastry thing. A lot of the food in Morocco are really like hearty dishes. So you might want to crave some of that morning breakfast, like fruit and yogurt, after having a lot of the heavier things in the evening. But yes, we'll learn how to make that, and we'll have that for lunch. And then this is the town that we're going to, with the Sahara in the background. From here, we will ride a camel like the locals do.
Wow.
And ride right onto our luxury camp for the evening.
Ooh.
And riding in style, right? Now, the luggage will not be on the camels with us. So if there's anyone that doesn't want to ride a camel, you can go in the van with the luggage, which won't be as exciting of a drive, but it's an option if you want to. This is a kind of central courtyard area where we'll have our dinner in the evening. They also have some live music and a fire, which will be really cool. Well, this is a luxury camp because it is all canvas tents. They're all permanent. They all have actual beds, so they won't make you sleep on the floor. And they all have private ensuite bathrooms.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty nice. A lot of space too, and it's quite warm. So at night in the Sahara, it can get really, really cold. So I really recommend bringing lots of layers and maybe like a light puffy that can scrunch up really small in your suitcase. But in the tents themselves, they're quite comfortable. We'll wake up early the next morning. We're going to do a sunrise camel ride, and which will be really beautiful, seeing the orange colors coming up over the mountains, over the dunes. And then we're going to head to the town of Dades, which is in the Atlas Mountains. And if any of you get car sick, this road will make you want to take some gravel for sure. From here, we head down into the Tadra Gorge, which is about 250 meters on either side of the road. We're going to get out here and have a short walk to take us through the gorge and stretch our legs. Yeah, some really beautiful scenery. And we end up in this lovely hotel, the Aluka.
Wow. Wow.
In Dades. Another hotel with a pool and a hot tub. Nice. And it's not a great photo, but you can see how unique the rooms are that we're staying in.
Yes.
Now, Dottie's is really known for their hiking, and because it's so close to the Atlas Mountains, people really flock from all over to go to this one town to hike. So the next day is going to be open for hiking suggestions from our guide. So this is day 10 at this point. So our guide will really have gotten to know us, what our abilities are, what our interests are. And we'll talk about this the night before, but there's lots of different trails that we can go on. There's one that we talked about that is a 10-kilometer circuit trek, which looks absolutely amazing, but it does take about an hour and a half to drive there to the trailhead and back. Because we would have been driving a lot the day before, that might not be a good option for us, but we'll talk about it anyway and keep it all open and see what everyone wants to do. And if you don't feel like hiking, that's totally fine. There's a really nice hotel pool with your name on it. The next day we head towards Ait Ben Haddou, and if this looks familiar, could be from Game of Thrones or Gladiator, or Lawrence of Arabia was also filmed here. Along the way, we stop at a artist studio and cultural center, and we talk to the local artists there and get to know them and their methods and what the cultural center means to their community. And check into our second riad of the stay. And you can see here from this photo that the top level of the riad looks out towards the Atlas Mountains. That's the Atlas Mountains in the background. And every room is different. From Ait Ben Haddou, we move on to Weirgan. Never have said that name right if I didn't pronounce. I searched how to pronounce it on Google. It's nestled right into the Atlas Mountains. And so this will be a little bit of a longer drive, but then we'll get there in like the early afternoon in the hotel, and our guide will have some suggestions as well for hiking if you want to walk off the bus legs a little bit. But if not, you can just relax at the pool too, because this is quite a nice one.
Wow, looks amazing.
So the following day after Weirgan is you'll see on our itinerary, I didn't say anything because we are keeping this whole day a surprise, as long as I can keep this surprise going. I'll tell you the night before. How about that? But we'll make our way to Marrakesh, and we're staying at this beautiful hotel, the Langvi, which is right in central Marrakesh. It has a rooftop pool and a rooftop restaurant, which looks really nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And we'll have dinner here, and they have a shisha pipe in that picture. I don't know if you've seen that. That's another thing that's really popular in Morocco. You'll see a lot of more of the gentlemen smoking shisha, which is it's kind of like a tobacco bong, for lack of a better word, but you'll see a lot of that happening there. Now the next morning in Marrakesh, we wake up early and we're gonna go on a hot air balloon ride. Oh wow. We're going to do this at sunrise, so we can see the sunrise over the Atlas Mountains and Marrakesh. And the winds are better to do it in the morning as well. So it'll be an early morning rise. And then we'll have those going to set up breakfast for us on the grounds. We have an outdoor breakfast. And for those of you who don't want to go on the hot air balloon ride, you certainly don't have to. We can arrange for a transfer to our next place and meet you at Jardin Majorelle.
Oh, yay! Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy Autumn, for the suggestion. I'm yes, Nancy mentioned this to me, and we added it right away into the itinerary. It just looks like such a stunning garden, kind of a Cuban French influence, if I might say. Really colorful botanical garden. We won't have a guide here, but we're going to have some time to just wander around by ourselves. So there you go, Nancy. That one's
great.
For you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is a really full day in Marrakesh. So we're doing the hot air balloon ride, the garden, and now we're going right into the city. We're doing a walking tour with our guide. We're visiting this mosque. We won't be able to go inside it, but we can see it from the outside, as well as going through the souks and medinas in Marrakesh. And it can be quite overwhelming, so our guide will be able to navigate us through. This will be a really good opportunity to do some shopping as well if anyone wants to. They have everything from textiles, carpets, spices, nuts, pretty much anything that you could want to buy there. Which will be a feast for the senses, I think. And that evening, we'll end our tour with our farewell dinner at a restaurant that's owned and operated by women. And you'll see that throughout on the written itinerary that we really focus on women operatives and operations, and to try and spread our tourism dollars as much as we can and really support the local community. So when we're shopping, if we're all going as a group, it's a really good idea to be considerate of not everyone going to this one vendor, and spreading it along so that everyone gets some of the tourism dollars. So that will be our final evening, and we'll leave Marrakesh the next day. Now, some of you have mentioned an interest in going to the town called Ushuaia, which is on the coast, and I'm just going to hop back to the map and I'll show you kind of where it is. So this is Marrakesh here, and Ushuaia is just behind the M on the coast. It's a really small seaside town. It's a fishing town, whereas Casablanca is more known as a port town. And I am putting together a two-night extension to Ushuaia. So it'll be 2 nights in Ushuaia and 1 night back in Marrakesh before you fly out the next day. And I'll send that all out to you once I have some more information about that, if anyone's interested in it.
And what's the interesting thing about Ushuaia?
Well, it's just a really cute seaside town. There's a couple different mosques and monuments, and some markets to visit as well. And yeah, it's just like a nice little area. A little bit different. It'll be nice to get the contrast between the mountains and the desert and the cities, and then now have the sea.
Yeah. Get it. Yeah. Okay, sounds good.
I'm just gonna get out of here so I can see all your faces again. Okay, does anyone have any questions about the itinerary before I talk about the flights?
I'm just wondering if we need to wear coverings over our face or head when we're in certain areas or not.
You won't ever have to cover your head. Now, I do recommend that you dress a bit more conservatively. Covering your shoulders and your chest is a good idea. Now, it can get quite hot there during the day. So what I am going to do, and what I would recommend, is to bring a light shawl, like a scarf, and then you can just throw it over and you're automatically covered and you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, but definitely more conservatively dressed, I think, in Morocco. On that note as well, alcohol is not really widely served in Morocco because of their Muslim background. There are some restaurants that serve alcohol, and it's mainly the more Western style restaurants or Western hotels. So if we're going out for dinner, we might see it on the menu, but we'll expect a premium to pay for that, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Are there
Do
any?
you have some, sorry, do you have some reading suggestions?
Yeah, reading suggestions. Ooh, I don't have any yet, but I will certainly come up with a list and I can send you some.
Great.
Good idea. Yes, Sandy.
Are there nights where we're staying more than 1 night at the same hotel?
Yeah, so for the long haul drives, we're going to be staying at the hotel twice. So Chefouchon, we're staying there twice.
Okay.
And hold on, I'm just going to bring up the itinerary. I can't remember.
Sorry, I should have paid attention.
No, it's fine. I should have mentioned it on the presentation. So yeah, there's Chefouchon. There's
Marrakesh? Well,
yeah,
2
Marrakesh.
nights,
Yeah, is 2 nights.
hotels.
Yeah, and then the one in Fez, Palais Huam, we're staying there for 2 nights.
Yeah.
And in Dades, the Hotel Aluka.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Casablanca and Meknes are only 1 night. So a mixture of 1 and 2, but it's really the 2 nights after the long drives, which I think is really nice because you can.
Yeah, I've got it now.
Okay, I'm just going to talk about the flight options then. So really there are going to be two airlines that offer the best itineraries. They're both not fantastic, and some offer some things that are better than others. So the first one is Air France. Air France flies from Vancouver through Paris, Charles de Gaulle to Casablanca all in the same day. You arrive into Casablanca at about 3 p.m. So perfect timing to check into the hotel. Leaving from Marrakesh, the flight is in the evening or in the late afternoon, and you arrive into Paris at 8 p.m. Now, the flights from Paris to Vancouver at 10 a.m. only. There's only one flight a day. So you'd have to overnight in Paris and then leave the next day. That's probably what I'm going to do, I think, when I travel. The economy flight's about $1,400. And then Air France also offers premium economy and business class as well.
Yeah, premium economy is what I would want.
Yeah, it's quite nice with Air France. They have a really good service. And then the other option is Air Canada. So they fly through Montreal to Casablanca all on the same day. On the return, however, they don't have an option out of Marrakesh. So you'd have to go back to Casablanca to fly out. But the thing is, on the 16th, which is the day the tour ends, the flight leaves at 8:30 in the morning from Casablanca. So you need to transfer back from Marrakesh to Casablanca, which means you have to get up at like 4 in the morning to get to the flight.
Yeah.
It doesn't leave on the 17th because it skips a day. It actually leaves on the 18th, that same itinerary. So what you could do if you wanted to take this one is you could spend one extra night in Marrakesh, then transfer to Casablanca, one night there, and then fly out the next day. Now there's also Lufthansa. They fly out of Casablanca on the 16th through Frankfurt. So you could also transfer from Marrakesh to Casablanca on the 16th, and then fly out on the 17th with Lufthansa through Frankfurt back to Vancouver. And that flight, so you'll be flying over with Air Canada and returning with Lufthansa. And that flight is about 1,800 to 2,000 in economy. So it's a big step up, I think, from the Air France, even with the hotel accommodation you have to pay for in Paris. And it might be nice to spend some extra time in Paris if you wanted to on your way back.
Is it possible to stay an extra day or two in Paris? I guess you could do that, right?
Yeah, of course you could. Yeah, definitely. And I would really consider that too, because the Olympics is happening there this year, right? And they're really spiffing up the city, so could be nice to see that.
I've got a stepdaughter in Paris. It would be nice to see her.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be nice. Yeah. Perfect. And I think that the Notre Dame should be finished, the construction.
It's just about finished. It's nearing there. But the what's the name of the gallery? Oh, it's gone out of my head, but it's closed now, which is upsetting because they're doing a mass do you know the name of it?
Which one is it? The d'Orsay?
No, not the d'Orsay. It's
the Pompidou?
Pompidou.
Yeah.
It's closed now.
Oh.
For a massive renovation, which is upsetting, but there's lots of other options in Paris.
Yeah.
Honey, I think I'd like to do that, is stay a couple of extra days in Paris.
Yeah, sounds great. I'm all over it.
Oh, good.
Sorry, Perry, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was wondering what the options were to go through Heathrow, because I've got family in England and I probably would send it one way or the other.
Yeah, I don't think that there are lots of really good options through Heathrow, but I can double check right now.
There's no rush.
Okay. When I was looking at it, it was really Air Canada or Air France. I think with Heathrow, maybe they only go to one airport, but I'll have a look at it and I'll let you know.
Thanks.
And then, also with the transfers. So the group transfer will be provided to both airports at the beginning, at the end, for the majority of the group. So once we start booking the flights, we'll get a sense of that. And then if you're not flying with the majority of the group, and if you're going to stay on or arrive earlier, we'll help you arrange your transfers as well. So no worries with that.
What about visas? Do we need any kind of visa?
No, you don't need to have a tourist visa into Morocco. Yeah, so it's quite nice. One less step to do, right? Yeah. Just make sure you have your passport up to date. 6 months, and it needs to be 6 months beyond your return date. Yeah, Mine's coming up. I think I'm going to have to renew mine this year.
Hannah,
Mhm. Yes.
what is the transfer time between Marrakesh and Casablanca? How long is that flight?
It's not a flight, it'll be a drive, and it's
Oh,
about
drive.
an hour and a half's drive. Now
Hour and a
there's
half.
also a train too, which takes a bit longer, but if you're going to be transferring, like all you're going to do that day is transfer, a train could be a nice way to see it as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you train into Casablanca, into the city, and then take a taxi out to the airport. So they have lots of options for transportation, which is nice. Yeah. So next steps are, we are charging your cards for the deposit, and we're doing that this week. We have done some of them. I think some of you, I'm waiting for information about the insurance before I go ahead. So if I haven't heard from you about your insurance, please get in touch. And I'll send you out your receipts once we have that all sorted. And then the next payment's not due until September. So it's kind of nice because we make installments. It's not a huge shock to your credit card.
And will you be sending us a list of the people that are coming on the trip?
Yeah, certainly will. Yeah, participant list,
great.
and I'll
Okay.
send you a rating suggestion list, I think, as well. I won't do a packing list because that's a bit too early, but yeah, just think in layers and warm clothing in the evening. And
Sounds good.
there's nothing super fancy, so you don't have to dress up if you don't want to.
That's good too.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's great.
there's hiking days too, so you'll have to consider what kind of shoes you want to bring.
Shoes,
So it's
we need
always a
hiking
cool
shoes.
option. Yeah.
Hiking shoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this
both
is
of those
awesome.
airlines as well, they both offer one free check bag too. So you don't have to do carry-on if you don't want to, which will be nice. We have the storage in our van to take checked bags. So you're good either way.
Yeah, I don't do carry on.
Yeah, I know. I know from your last time.
I mean, it's not a big suitcase, but I don't do carry on.
I don't blame you. I think I want to buy something, so I probably won't do carry-on either.
I used
Well,
to
remember, the woman that, no, I can't think of her name, but she had to buy an extra tote because she did carry on and then she couldn't get back what she wanted to buy.
From Argentina. With Susan?
Yes, that's right.
That's a good problem to have, though. At least it's on the way back.
Support the economy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so are there any questions?